This documentary was filmed and produced on the traditional unceded territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I guess I was working full time. I was also working a job that changed shifts every 2 weeks. I'd be on day shift, 2 weeks later I'd be on night shift, and 2 weeks after that I'd be on midnight shift. Because of the job, it was a 24-hour operation. And that was definitely takes its toll. Anybody who's ever done shift work knows that, you know, every time you shift, your whole sleeping schedule and everything goes off. So I had no energy. I had no real drive to do anything, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea. Until 1984, which would be a couple of years after the initiation. I think Mark was the one who found this as well, that the P&E was doing what like a showcase talent, a talent showcase. It was called the P&E Performer Showcase, and like in America's Got Talent or something like that, where they audition acts, all kinds of acts, all from all around BC, and the auditions usually took place in nightclubs or pubs or whatever, which is what we did. We went to this audition, and everybody had a 3-minute act, almost the same thing as today's current talent contests. And our act involved two of my biggest tricks at the time. One that I still do to this day involved the newspaper tear, where I would shred a newspaper and it would, be restored.
The front 2 pages and the front page with the video. Remember video. What I'm about to do for you is an illusion of sound, not of sight, because you're about to think you see a newspaper being torn. When in fact I am not tearing this newspaper at all, it only looks like I'm tearing it. There's a sound of a tape recorder going off right now that is playing the recording of tape to record newspaper. And if you watch very carefully, you will see that I am actually just folding this. Actually, how many people here think I am holding shredded newspaper in my hand? Let's hear it with a round of applause. How many people think there's shredded newspaper in my hand? Go on, let's see. How many people think I'm holding a completely full newspaper? Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Thank you very much. Somebody who believes. Look at that. Well, I'd like you to know that the person who clapped last was correct. When in fact, the newspaper that was once torn is now completely. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
And ultimately, the second part of it was I get suddenly grabbed on stage, put into handcuffs, put into a big trunk inside of a sack. The sack put on top of me. It gets all locked up, chains, padlocks, and everything. My assistant would get up on top of the trunk, and she had the curtain that goes around, and ta-da, it goes up, and then suddenly, boom, it's down, and she's gone, and I'm standing there. I jump off, they unlock the trunk, and open it up, and ta-da, there she is inside the sack with the handcuffs on.
So we've got 3 minutes on stage. How much magic can we do in 3 minutes? And what are the coolest things that you are capable of doing in 3 minutes? And Steve's going, well, I got these fire shooters. Great, we'll do that. We got the sub trunk. Great, we'll do that. I can't remember all the things that we put in there. Those are the two things that really stand up. Newspaper. You know, the newspaper tear, which again is a classic trick and one of the few things that translates well to a big house because newspapers were big. And so in 3 minutes, Steve did what for a typical magic show would have been 15 to 20 minutes worth of magic.
And I was proud of it. But even my friend Randy, the magician, who I love him dearly, but he was practical, and he had literally said to me, no magician has ever won the P&E Performer Showcase before.
I don't recall exactly when that was, but I'm going to just guess that it was a few years into knowing him, our relationship, and I know that Steve has a tendency to get very excited about things and super optimistic, which I think is just wonderful, and it worked for him. No magician has ever won, and I probably said that just to not get his hopes up. Having thought about that, and now decades later, I probably wouldn't have even said anything. And it was actually an amazing performance. It was brilliant.
And Steve watched more shows than I did, and I was not aware of any of the magicians who were doing their stuff on TV. Working at that pace and speed. So that's why that show was so wow. And that show was transformative in Steve's life and transformative in my life.
So at the end, after all the performers had done their shtick, all 20 of us were lined up on the stage. And I was very confident that we were going to get at least third or second place. Didn't for a second imagine first place, but I was very confident we'd at least come in the top three. And they called the third place, and it wasn't us. And I go, oh, okay, we got one more chance, and this is gonna be it. This will be it. They called second place, and again, it wasn't me. And I literally felt it sink inside of me. I felt that drop in my stomach, and I remember looking over to Mark saying, okay, I guess we didn't win. And then they announced first place, and sure enough, they chose me, and chose us basically, and we came out and were awarded this beautiful trophy, which after 40 years is not much left of what it was back in 1984, but this was the trophy we won at first place.
I was a little concerned that he may have already, in his mind, won, which actually wasn't a valid concern, because that's probably was a good thing, and it worked for him because he did win, and I was very happy for him that he won.
But Stephen won, and I was so proud when he won. And I think I realized too that how good he was, because I'd seen the act several times, but for somebody not seeing it before, it was very polished. It was ready to be performed.
To me, I looked at that show and I felt like telling everybody who'd watched the Initiation, see, we can do it. Yeah, he really is that good. Because magicians were not supposed to win that talent competition.
I was in stunned shock. There was, I would have about as much expectation of winning that as I would of the lottery. And when we won, and it wasn't me winning, it was my team. They worked beautifully with me to make a very successful and of course award-winning trophy, award-winning prize at the P&E Performer Showcase 1984. And of course, that was the next. This is the greatest thing. I am about to become the world's greatest magician. The door has just opened wide, and watch me become Baboon. Didn't really turn out that way.
Enthusiastic, can you guys play cards? Come on, you play cards? Come on up here. Yeah, come on up here. Yeah, let's go. Come on up here. Yeah. Come on up.
The only thing that came out of that was I got to do a 4 city tour in BC. I did a small little tour going from nightclub to nightclub, which nothing, as we mentioned before, the audiences enjoyed it, but they were not anything that changed my career, that turned anything around in my career, that made anything happen.
That basically the same way birds gotta fly and sharks gotta swim, Steve's got a magic, right? Steve's gotta perform. And even when he goes into like his deepest funks, there's a point he's gonna come out of that funk and go, I have to get on a stage. And that need to get on a stage, I think, is a big part of what has kept him going all of these years and reinventing himself all of these years.
Stephen Kaplan understood the game early on. As long as he could invite as many people as he could to have fun, at the end of the day, he was successful. And so, in school, on the street, in the neighborhoods, in the events, he's been successful every single day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, ever since Stephen Kaplan decided that his promise and purpose was to make people happy.
I took a leave of absence for 6 months to pursue my career. I got to work on a cruise ship at that time, and that was a great experience. It wasn't what I really wanted to do, but I had a lot of fun. I did two, actually. I did one to Alaska, and then I did another cruise to Tahiti. And I would also say that through the 80s, when I was, again, with the government, because I was complacent in my job, it dampened my desire for the success. I had an income. I had such a lack of energy because of doing these continuous rotating shifts that I didn't give it my all. I did not give it my all, and it was ultimately why I left the government.
You know, we had talked about it off and on for many times that he, you know, this was not his career choice to work filing the paper away for the government. So that he eventually would. Yeah, I wasn't surprised, and I think if I remember back, I was all quite gung-ho about him doing it, that it wasn't a mistake to leave the government or anything. So
I don't think it surprised me because I knew that he was serious about what he was trying to do. I'd say I was more impressed that he had kept at it, because he alluded earlier to there being lots of downs to go along with a few of the ups that he's had. I was just impressed that he kept at it for so many years, and he appears to have had some success. So I was happy to see that.
I left the government in 1989 because, even at that time, I thought I was getting, I was getting too old to really go after my dream, to pursue my dream. And I did know, I was recognizing that it felt it was at least really hampering my ability to go after the dream, to go after the career of being the next greatest magician. So with the blessing of my mother, and even though I was 28, 29 years old, with her blessing, I quit the job. I had enough built up in, I guess it was called superannuation or stuff, that I knew I could survive for at least 5 or 6 months without an income before I had to, really get things going. But I did it. I had to go after my career, because if I didn't, I would have been there forever, and I didn't want that. I needed to escape. But I just still didn't get what I thought could happen, and I kept telling myself, unless I literally am able to apply myself full-time every day to the magic career, I'm never going to make myself into what I wanted myself to be, as the next world's greatest magician. I could have been Chris Angel, but yeah, so that's what finally pushed me out of that secure job into the world of the unknown.
yours to